projection of anticipated lodging costs. Once again, when we're going to do the rent projection, we bring this out right before we show the money. We have done a use projection, figuring how much they'd like to go. Now we take a look at what it would cost them to do that. First thing you do when you're establishing a rent projection is ask them what they expect to pay for lodging. Many times you have a customer who understands $100, $150, $200 a night. Many times you have a customer who says, we spend $50 a night in a motel on the side of the road, and where we stay is not very important because we don't spend a lot of time in the room. So to phrase the question in order to get the right projection is, Teresa, I understand you don't travel in this environment very often. Condos, vacation homes, resort type log cabins. But when you are going to take a vacation like that, I'm not referring to the hotel room you get on the drive there when you just need a place on the side of the highway. I'm not referring to business travel or when you're visiting Aunt Betty. But when you're going to take your family on the big vacation in the environment we're referring to, ballpark figure, what would you expect to pay for a hotel room for the night when you've arrived at your destination? When you've arrived.
It varies, probably between $100 or $150.
$100 and $150, and that typically is going to get you your average hotel room with the lamp bolted to the table, a remote control that you can't even pick up, they don't want you stealing it, a bed, a dresser, a bureau,
on the window.
a very small closet. I don't know how a family of four is going to fit in that room and where you're going to put your stuff. That's why you have suitcases and bags all over. You guys know how to sell the small hotel room. But we're going to use $100 a night, and I hope you'll agree it's very conservative. Before you start your room rent projection, you want to confirm that $100 a night is very conservative. In Salt Lake City, the Days Inn is $89 a night plus 11% sales tax. You add a Motel 6, you all know the Motel 6. The Motel 6 in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in the summer is $120 a night. That's the Motel 6. That's about the lowest level of a national hotel chain you can get to. Right? Everybody knows why it's called the Motel 6. Because it was $6 a night when it opened. So we're going to call it a week. Everybody with me? You have cost per week. You have a 20 weeks of use that we're going to use over 20 years. It's called a 2020 so you can see clearly. Everybody understand that? We're going to use a 5% annual inflation, and we're going to use taxes. It's important when you're doing your hotel room rent projection that you explain every column as you go across. You can do it quickly. If you take a $100 a night room, if you can read this, let me stick it in front of the camera, and you take the $100 a night level, which is here. Oops. See if I can do this. And we'll show you that a $100 a night room for 7 nights is $700. Times 20 weeks of use is times 10 is $7,000. Double that, you get $14,000 in room rent. So putting this up over here, $100 times 7 is 700. Times 10 is 7,000, which means times 20 is $14,000. That is presuming that your $100 room this year is still a $100 room next year. What are the odds of that happening, Jim?
Slim.
Slim, that's correct. Added in 5% annual inflation, going back to our sheet, and we go across on the list, $14,000 at 5% a year turns it into $23,000 is what the total bill is at the end of the year, $23,000. Gee, John and Mary, that sure adds up, doesn't it? But wait, it's not over yet. You understand that when you're renting a hotel room, you're not subject to normal sales taxes. There's hotel type taxes. Let me refer you to Michigan University sheet, please, somebody. University of Michigan did a study from their hospitality and tourism department of what sample hotel taxes is across the country. Those taxes ran, and you will pull out your study and show this to your customer, on average from 10% at the lowest up to 17% tax. As I mentioned, it was, I think, 9% in, no, that's the Department of Commerce.
Sorry.
This is it right here. What this is from the University of Michigan, tax rates per area. For example, in Atlanta, Georgia, an $88 room is the average room rate. That's an economy. It says economy rate. This is not deluxe rates. And 14% tax. 14% on an $88 room is how much, gang?
$12.
Correct. It's about $12, $11 and change. We're going to use a number using our room rent projection. We're going to only use 10% taxes, because the lowest tax out there on average is 10%. We were only able on all the sheet to find, well, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, it's 8%. But if you wanted to go to Denver skiing, it's 14%. Most people, if we added 10%, of $23,146, which is this number, means we'd add another $2,300 in taxes spent over a 20-year period, which gives us a sum total of $25,460. Once again, I'll bring this up here to the camera. $700 for a week, $14,000 for 20 years, $23,000 at 5% inflation, $2,300 in tax, for a total of $25,460. That being said, here's what we're going to convey to the customer. $25,460 is running this little room for you and your family, starting at a $100 room rate. I hope you can acknowledge, Jim, that if your budget was only $100 a night, you couldn't stay in downtown Portland, or in Park City, Utah, or the Big Island of Hawaii. You would not have enough for your family, so that's a conservative number. What you said earlier, Teresa, was it's $120 to $150 a night. I used $100 to start because it was easy to do math. But if we took the $150 a night range on this paper, it comes out to $42,170. So this is the concept. Based on the use projection we did earlier, if you only took 20 weeks of vacation in the $100 to $150 a night range, you would spend between $25,000 and $42,000 getting 7 nights a year in an economy level hotel room. That's not $25,000 to $42,000 we're talking you into taking. This is the $25,000 to $42,000 that you would need to budget or find somehow based on the projection you have for your life. That's a lot of money, isn't it? See, when people have penciled this out, how many people, I think there's 4 million American timeshare owners out there. 4 million families have decided, instead of spending $25,000 to $42,000 renting little hotel rooms, they'll go out and spend $20,000 and buy themselves a timeshare. Because over the period of time, even if it came out to the same money or less, they got to stay in a much larger quality place instead of a little hotel room. A resort that has the amenities, the activities, and the services that we'd all like to stay in. That's why people do this. But we're not here to say a timeshare today. We told you that when we started off. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. The point, what we are trying to do is, we call this money anyway money. And I hope, John and Mary, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, that even if you decide not to travel with us today, that you will take these vacations. Wherever you find the money and however you decide to do it, I want you to take those vacations. Hopefully with us. And this is how we get a use commitment. You have to tie it down to do it anyway, mention the word today, and understand that this is not a bill we are creating for them. And this is very important. I love it when you write this really big on the bottom of your sheet. If you are going to take these vacations, there's a certain amount of money you will spend anyway. If you'd like to have a place for you and your family to stay with security, comfort, amenities, privacy, cleanliness is important to some of you. This is what you can anticipate spending. What we've done here today is to show you how to reallocate a small portion of this number into ownership, which will allow you to get a better quality vacation in a much nicer place for a longer duration for far less money than you would wind up spending. So let me ask you this. I know you were waiting to see how much or how little ownership or membership in our vacation club would cost you. But here's my question. If ours was the same price, we were $25,460, and that's all we charged. And we took you out of the little hotel room and put you in the suites and private residences, allowed you to go 2, 3, or 4 times a year with all the benefits that I highlighted earlier, being the hotlines, the buying service, bonus weeks on the expressway, ability to take this money and use it for a cruise. Do you remember I showed you my cruise club? $700 for a couple instead of $700 for a hotel room. And it didn't cost you 1 penny more. We were the same price. We didn't save you anything. We just got you better quality vacations for less money. Same price paid over the same period of time. Which would make more sense in ownership, which one day when you were done with it, you can sell and recover a small portion of that, or possibly pass it on to your family for them to take advantage of. Something all during your presentation, while you're doing a use projection, you're going to refer to the word desire. You're going to start off in the beginning of your presentation. You obviously desired to travel and take a vacation. That's why you responded to our offer today. You know, we use the word